Coming up, we're going to talk through whether or not you should quit your meh job. We'll even define it in a couple of ways. And then a very interesting story about remote workers working at Disney parks. We'll break it all down. Let's go. All right, welcome to the Ken Coleman Show, where we help you win at work. When you get better, your paycheck gets bigger. And that's what we're all about here. Great benefits there. Okay, let's talk about your meh. A lot of ways to say this today. We're going to have some fun with this. But we're going to just go back to one of the fundamental resources that we have helped so many people with. We're not trying to get anybody to quit their job, but what we want you to do is win at work. And many times winning at work is a function of being in the right job. So I want to start with a resource. I don't know if we're going to share this resource on the screen or not, but at some point in this segment we will. And I want to make sure you know that as I'm teaching you through this, we actually have a really great resource called the Should I Quit My Job quiz. And it's super simple. We're going to talk about some of the outputs in our opening segment here today, but I want you to know that this is available to you at kencoleman.com. And you can just search the Should I Quit My Job quiz there. And it's a wonderful little resource. Just takes a few minutes and it'll help you. Okay. So that is a great resource that at any point you can get to. Okay. But let's define this idea of a meh job, right? So I think I'm going to give you, there's three intonations, descriptions here that we're going to go through. One is meh. I think that's how I like to say it, right? In other words, if I say to you, do you enjoy your job? And you go, meh. It's that, right? So you got two different tones, Nathan. But it's what we're talking about here is it's a brief meh. And so that's a tweener. Then there's, do you enjoy your job? And you might go, it's a little longer there. And so now we're starting to see some things. We'll get into this. And then the third one is, do you enjoy your job? And you go, ugh. Okay. So there are our three kind of classifications and sounds that we're going to have fun with. But we actually have some very, very specific emotions. And there are reasons behind the emotions, right? So we're having fun with the sounds of the meh, right? And so we're having some fun with that. All right, now, so let's go through the first one, okay? The first one is, do you enjoy your job? Is it fulfilling? And you go, And so obviously the answer is no. But it's not a hard no. And what's happening here is there are some good things about your job. It might be that it's a good environment. You like the people there. Maybe you have a good relationship with your leader, but the job itself, maybe it's on the lower rung of the ladder that you want to climb on. And so you're just answering honestly and you go, And so this is really the in-between. Okay. You don't have any passion for it. You're just going through the motions, or it's a means to an end. In other words, you're in between where you want to be, and you acknowledge it's a part of the process. It is a stepping stone. And so the answer is there's no real passion and juice for it, but you don't hate it either, right? That's why it's meh. And so that's where a lot of people are. Let's go to the second one. Okay. And then we'll get to a better description here. That second one is, if asked honestly and you are answering honestly, do you enjoy your job? Is it fulfilling? You go, and that's a little longer there, because now what's happening is there's more negatives than there are positives. Just the first one is, that means there's some good, there's some bad. And you kind of look at the list and it's kind of like this. That second noise, now we're starting to lean towards more negative, right? And so could be a function of you like the people there, or maybe you like the job itself, but maybe the environment's not great and it's starting to wear on you, okay? And so that's where that emotion comes in. So you're starting to look at the whole picture and you're going, is this in fact as I consider this question, the right seat on the right bus. That's where that emotion there, you're starting to wane a little bit and you're going, ooh, boy, it's not good. And then of course the third sound, right? That just the answer is we're no longer in this. The first sound is kind of, it's up in the air. The second sound is kind of professional purgatory, right? It's just, I'm in a season of, I know I'm not supposed to be here. It's not the greatest environment, but it's not a full fire sale. And this third sound, the guy showed me this clip, and I think I could teach it or I could show you. And so this is from the awful TV show Hercules. But this really gets it for most people. Let's play this. He's totally confused.
This isn't my world. Disappointed!
All right, I've had enough of Hercules and Kevin Sorbo. First of all, can we talk about the fact that may have been, and I've never seen, true story, I've never seen 1 second of that show until that clip, and I'm glad I haven't seen any more of that show. That's some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life. But it really encapsulates this idea, wait a second, this is not where I belong. I'm disappointed. I mean, by the way, what scriptwriter wrote that in good conscience and thought that was going to be good? It's really, really bad. It's almost comedic. But it does a good job of summing up for many people who they're kind of in that, they're in the space. They're in the space when they think about getting to work. They're in the space on their way to work. They're in the space at work. They're in the space after work. And so this is really tough. So let's break this down, okay? In the resource, the Should I Quit My Job quiz, if you're in any of these little fun emotions today, or, whatever, I couldn't even come up with a good one there. It's just, I feel if you just tuned into the show right there, you might think I was having some sort of medical breakdown, but it makes the point. And the Should I Quit My Job quiz is going to give you 4 outputs. Now, only people who are taking it, who are really concerned, are going to get these 3 outputs. No one's going to get the best output because the people that want to get the best output are going to get the best output aren't taking it because they're actually fulfilling their job. But the 3 outputs that are negative are right seat, wrong bus, right bus, wrong seat, wrong bus. So back to our fun emotions. Right seat, wrong bus. Maybe the job it's a good fit, but the place isn't a good fit. And that's why it's the whole, because inherently that there's a better place for you. A better place for you. The second scenario is the right bus, wrong seat. And so this is a situation where you go, you like the company, you like the people, maybe you've been overlooked, you've been passed over, you just don't feel like you're in the right seat. And for whatever reason, that's where you came in or that's where you've been placed and you don't feel like you can get out of it. And that's where that second, because now you're starting to really feel some negatives here. By the way, it just occurred to me that sounded like a mosquito. I don't like the way that sounded, right? But here's the point. If you are on the right bus but the wrong seat, you can redeem this situation, or at least you have a shot because you like the organization. So the question is, what can you learn? What can you do? What can you do internally to try to get yourself on a different seat because we like the right bus? If we go to that first scenario where you come out with the right seat, wrong bus, that doesn't fix itself because even though you're in the right seat, good job. If the culture and the values, there's not alignment there, you're not going to be able to change that. So understand that. Then the third scenario, this is that, and this is the Hercules. I'm disappointed, right? I can't even believe I just said that. It's such a horrible line. But what a great illustration. This is not my world, right? This is wrong seat, wrong bus. So let me just point something out very quickly here. If you're in the wrong seat on the wrong bus, you have no one to be upset about but yourself because you allowed yourself to take that gig. You should have known. And we want to learn from this. And this is where the self-awareness comes in. So, should you quit your mess job? Not necessarily. Let's figure out what result you get. Take the should I quit my job quiz. If it's right seat, wrong bus, yes, you should. There's not an alignment with values. If it's right bus, wrong seat, no, I don't think you should yet. I think you should see if we can change seats on a bus that you actually like. And if it's wrong seat, wrong bus, of course, we're looking right away. So the resource is the Should I Quit My Job quiz. You can check that out. And it's at kencoleman.com. It's a great little resource. It only takes about 4 or 5 minutes. All right, coming back. Remote workers working at Disney? What? Hey, high school seniors and parents of high school seniors, it's almost graduation time. And if you're not sure about next steps, I want you to listen to this. Coding skills are essential in today's workforce. And my friends at Bethel Tech can help you start a new career really fast and do it cheap. It only takes 9 months to complete a Bethel Tech course in UI, UX design, full stack development, data science, or cybersecurity. And your young person can get over 1,000 hours of experience in a collaborative environment and then get placed. The average starting salary for a junior developer is $66,000. And the field is projected to grow by 22% over the next 5 years. Software development is a career with an enormously bright future. And right now, Bethel Tech is offering you 10% off if you watch or listen to The Ken Coleman Show and you pay cash. So go to betheltech.net/Ken Coleman, betheltech.net/Ken Coleman right now for details. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, welcome back to The Ken Coleman Show. Okay, I love sharing stories with you folks that are really intriguing, sometimes irritating, keep you in touch with the world of work and trends that are happening. And this is not a surprising story to me. In fact, there's I would call him a professional acquaintance. I've interviewed him several times. We've spoken on the same stage together. A guy by the name of Bob Goff, and he's a best-selling author. He's got a great following, kind of in the faith space. And Bob is a renowned lawyer, and just generally a big kid. And he's a really fun guy to be around. And for years, he would say that he would have his meetings on Tom Sawyer Island at Disneyland or Disney. Wait a second, I always get this mixed up. Which is the one in California? Is it Disneyland? Thank you very much, Disneyland. And so he would have his meetings. He has an annual pass, and he would talk about in all these talks that he would have meetings with people on Tom Sawyer Island. And I remember the first time he said that, as most people in the audience would react to that, as kind of delighted. And I thought it was a really fun idea. I'm a big fan of the Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn characters, and I read those things growing up because we didn't have iPads, and I'm old, and so I remember reading books when I was a kid. So I thought, well, that's a novel idea. Well, so now we've got a trend and it's beginning to happen. So I don't think this is a new idea, but it's beginning to trend and it's on social media. So here's the story. I'm gonna jump in and out of this thing, and I want to get the team's view on this. I got some thoughts on this, but this is fascinating. And so as we watch this news story, what do you think? Could you be productive? Could you be effective working at a theme park? All right, let's roll it. Here we go. This is a news story.
It's called the happiest place on earth, but now some remote workers are turning Disney World into their office.
I'm a remote worker, and here's how I arrange my Disney World travel around my full-time job.
The trend exploding on social media in the post-pandemic world. Everyone from freelance journalists to lawyers sharing where inside the park they can plug in and get to work.
Okay, first thing I want to point out, you'll notice already we're not seeing any parents in this situation. Because I do think that Disney can be the happiest place on earth. But one of the things that blew my mind here, and I've got 3 kids, and I've been to Disney with all 3 kids, and I want to tell you something. It's really happy when you travel there. It's really happy when you walk in. And as the day begins to wear on, if a parent is being honest, they're not happy. The kids are tired. You're holding them on your neck until you can't even feel your tip of your spine anymore. You're standing in line for hours in heat that rivals the threshold of hell. I mean, let's be honest here. What I'm noticing already, Kelly, is you see people that are without kids in the clip, and they're working, and there are no kids they're dragging along. So it's kind of like, oh, it's the happiest place on earth when you don't have a kid with you. Do you see this? Do you notice this?
I see it. I notice it.
Are you a Disney fan?
I do not identify as a Disney adult, but I love this journey for these workers that feel let's do that.
So you would classify yourself as meh when it comes to Disney?
It would be better not if I had to.
Have you been?
Yes, I was.
How old?
7, traumatized after Tower of Terror. Don't plan on revisiting anytime soon.
So you've not been back since the age of 7?
I have not.
Okay, this is great. This is new information for me, folks. Kelly, the associate producer over there, I'm having her weigh in on this. Okay, let's continue. That's one thing to point out, okay? Understand, this is all work and a little bit of play. Watch this.
While also mixing in some time to visit Cinderella's castle.
I'm able to shift my hours earlier so that I can hit the parks in the afternoon after I've wrapped up my work for the day.
Matt Richardson has been working remotely from Disney for 2 years now.
What's important to my employer is that I get my work done, and that's my first priority no matter where I am in the world.
Okay, this is a key point. All right, so for some of you already, that this idea of people going to work remote, they're remote workers already. So let's establish this. Everybody featured in the story is already a remote worker, so their leaders have already said this is a way of work and we trust them. So theoretically, they're already measurables. So whether the person is working in their home or a local coffee shop or at Disney World, if we're being honest here, what does this come down to? And it comes down to, is the person getting their job done? And if the person getting their job done is based on real measurables that the leader in the company can say, look, they're getting it done, and the guy's knocking it out. Well, I mean, do I care that he's riding, the Splash Mountain or whatever it's called, or in Kelly's traumatic world, the Tower of Terror, and, does it really matter? Well, we'll get back to that.
He lives about 1,000 miles away from Orlando, but realized he could still enjoy his favorite parks and create digital content while also maintaining a job at his tech company.
I wanted to take a trip down to Disney as things were coming back, and I kept working. I opened up my laptop, I kept the emails going, and it made me realize that I don't necessarily have to be in my home in Ohio to get work done.
And there's a whole system to it. On Disney blogs, you can find the best places to whip out that laptop and peruse some spreadsheets before hopping on Space Mountain.
There are a few spots.
All right, now I got to point this out here, okay? Now, if this is managed properly, this could create a marriage problem. But let's say you're a husband or wife and you got the whole fam there and you work remote. For a lot of dads here, and this could cause a lot of marital strife. So I'm going to give you this with a giant asterisk. You got to play this well. If the kids are old enough and the wife can take them off, and you can get 2 hours of a respite from standing in line and holding the kid under the guise of, in truth, doing work, this could make it easier for dads. Just going to throw that out there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like, okay, you go over there, you take them over to Fantasyland for a while. I got to knock out a couple conference calls. And I think it's also fascinating that there are specific spots that are actually conducive to getting work done. More on that in a minute. Here we go. Let's keep going.
Disney World, which are great for remote working, like the lobby of the Wilderness Lodge.
And it's not just Disney World
Air
in
conditioning.
Florida.
Come on.
California's Disneyland also getting in on the action.
I come to the parks to do that work. I live pretty close to Disneyland, and I have a Magic Key, which is like the annual pass here. I'm able to go pretty frequently, and I'll spend time during the day working as I need to.
Caleb Graves is
all right. Now this guy's a lawyer. Okay, now there's one thing I got to bring up here. I mean, I'm a part of Ramsey Solutions. We're talking about budgets here. Spending time at Disney. Now they can't be eating there, can they? I mean, Kelly, what does a turkey leg cost at an amusement park? Isn't it like $14 plus your drink, your little sippy cup? Before you know it, you're spending $30 to $50. You don't even know. You don't go to amusement parks. But am I right?
I love a good fair, and a turkey leg at the fair is at least $14.50.
All right, that's at the fair. So now I'll bet you that's $22 at Disney. Here's my point. You could easily, if you were to eat 2 meals at Disney while you're working, Alex, you're spending well over $100. So here's the hidden thing. It's not in the story. I mean, they kind of cover it, but I get you got your annual pass, and you could write that off, I guess, as your work thing. Okay? I mean, it's kind of like being a member of eSpaces or something like that. So I get that part. But, well, no, you can't write it off unless it's 1099 income. Sorry. Got to be careful. But how much do you spend on food at Disney? We saw the clip just a minute ago, the guy with the little icy. That's $8 right there. Easy. It's probably more than that. All right, here's my point. You can't take the Tupperware in. Are they sneaking food in? Are you bootlegging the carrots and celery and you're in the Wilderness Lodge lobby, eating like a rabbit? I don't know. I got questions.
Attorney and makes the most of his daily downtime with some Disney distractions.
You can finish a meeting and then go watch some stormtroopers. Is that kind of what you get to do?
Yeah, that's definitely an option.
This would make Alex happy.
Everyone thinks you should be able to work from
you
a galaxy
like Star Wars,
far,
don't
far
you?
away. Dr. Stefan Meyer with Columbia Business School supports remote work, but says workers should be careful not to take advantage of their employers.
What is kind of accepted, what is okay, remote work, what is just giving flexibility, and what is like slippery slope into we're not just taking more days off and phoning it in on a ride.
For Caleb and Matt, though, they're just hoping to add a little more magic to their workday.
It's a feeling of comfort, a little bit of nostalgia. There's great music. It's just a really happy, fun environment to be in.
Okay, this is the key point. All right, we've had a little bit of fun with this. Let me just bring all this down. Listen, if you're a leader and you're in a company where remote work is allowed, this is all coming down to measurables in the form of accountability. Is the person getting their work done? And it's easily measurable. And if it's measurable that they're productive, it doesn't matter if they are in their home. They could easily get distracted watching Netflix, walking the dog, talking to the neighbor. I mean, so what's the difference between Disney and their home? So I thought it was fun that they brought this guy on. He's like, well, what's the slippery slope? Let me tell you what the slippery slope is. If you're already in a remote work environment and you don't have measurables and you can't track productivity, there's the slippery slope. But the bottom line is, if somebody wants to go work at Disney and then ride rides for 3 hours after the day of work, I mean, that's just kind of the world you created. So that means if you don't like it, then you need to make sure they're back in the office. That is my judgment. If you can measure their productivity and they're doing their job, what are you going to say about them being on a ride or hanging out with Pooh Bear? I mean, what are you going to do? Tigger. So here's my final thought on this. I actually think it's an interesting scenario. I looked up the definition of inspiration, Alex, and this is what it says. This is the definition. The process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative. If this story were on what people are doing in remote work to be more creative and more inspired in their work at home, everybody would be going, oh, that's wonderful. And so if you're sitting there and the smell of a turkey leg and funnel cake and the noises of kids screaming in delight and in agony all come together in one big giant chorus of creativity, I say, go work in the briar patch. And that's what I'm sticking to. It's interesting stuff. I wouldn't mind shooting my show live down at Disney. Kelly'd hate it, but she needs therapy. Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Hey, if you're enjoying the program, we'd love for you to help us spread the word. You can do that on YouTube by liking the video you're watching. It's just a little quick thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel and share. And if you're listening via your favorite podcast app, you can give us a follow and a 5-star review and share as well. By the way, I was thinking about just the idea of everything that goes into showing up at a theme park. And whether you're with kids or you're by yourself. In the last segment, we were talking about people love to work there. And my only question is, how patient do you have to be to stand in line, even with the Fast Pass? Because I don't know if any of you experienced the Fast Pass, but it's not usually very fast. So that's a whole nother thing. These are very patient people. I don't think this is a good idea for people who are impatient. Just a little extra nugget there. So there you go. All right. Let's go to Seth now. We're going to coach him up. He's in New Orleans, Louisiana. Seth, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, how's it going?
It's going well. What's going on with you?
Well, I was listening to you earlier, and I definitely fall into the category.
That's you. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely.
So would you say that you're in the wrong seat and on the wrong bus?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, good. Let's go.
I recently, my wife actually gifted me your book, How You're Wired.
Oh, Find the Work You're Wired to Do with the Get Clear assessment.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes, absolutely. So the assessment, I was kind of doubting it at first, and then I showed my wife the results, and I actually showed someone else yesterday, and both of them were like, yes, absolutely. That's you to a T, and they seem to know you better than you know yourself.
Well, you know what's funny about that is, and it's the reason it's you to a T is because you answer the questions honestly.
Yeah.
So what's funny is that you had some doubt about it, and I think therein lies the interesting piece here. The reason assessments like this work is because I'm asking, and anybody that does an assessment is asking the person questions about themselves, and then we just simply aggregate the answers and reveal it back to you. There's no magic to it. So what's interesting is when people who know you well said, dude, that's you, Seth, and you were previously doubting it, there could be just some nuance in the way you interpreted some words. It could be that simple, or it could be a sign of much greater issue of self-doubt and a lack of belief.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There's been a lot of buildup of doubt lately, for sure.
Yeah. What's been going on? Give me 30 seconds of what's been building up.
Well, short version is I graduated from college in 2014, started my what I call my first grown-up job in the IT world, working for an oil and gas company. I worked there up until last summer. And there were a lot of things leading up to me leaving. But basically, I felt like I was getting left behind. My career wasn't going anywhere. I was stuck where I was. There was almost no one to talk to, it felt like. Everybody was too busy to help me out. Started getting the cold shoulder a lot. So I said, this is taking a toll. There was some really, it was a really low point last year for me. And it was kind of an urgent situation that I get out of there. Okay. So I took a job sort of in the tech world, but now, and look, I know there's going to be people listening, they're going to go, so what? But now it's a lot of cable pulling. It's nowhere near.
Sure.
Or it doesn't feel like it's anywhere near my expertise, and I'm starting to really doubt whether or not I need to be in this world to look for something else. I mean, especially with the results that I got.
Well, the answer is no, you should not be in this world for very long. But right now it's offering you stability, right?
In a sense, yes. Okay. Financial stability, it is.
Great. Let's just be grateful for that. Let's just it's very important for your mental outlook. And for your mindset, this is important that you just go, well, at least it is taking care of me financially. It's not challenging me, but it's not the rest of my life. This is temporary, but man, are we grateful for it. That's the mindset on the current job. You got it?
Right.
All right. Now, tell me your assessment results. Read them slowly for me. Top 3 talents are?
Compassion.
Justice. Inspection. Ooh, very interesting thing here. Okay, and let's go top 3 passions. This is the first 3, folks. If you're following along, these are his results. And the top 3 talents are what he just gave us. That's what he does well. And now let's go top 3 passions, the type of work you love to do. Go.
Advocating.
All right, hold on. Advocating. Okay, next. Protecting. And next.
And making.
Interesting. And I think I know what the missional result's going to be. Tell me what it is.
Achievement.
I didn't think it was going to be that, but I love this. Okay, so here's how we play this out. Okay, I'm going to go through this real quick, all right? So, Seth, there's 4 types of work. You could take every job, every profession, every career path, if you will, and you could put it into 4 buckets of work, okay? We've got people work, process work, idea work, and object work, or I could say things. And object things would be, it's much more tactile. I'm working with my hands. I may be fixing something, building something. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and idea work is very, very creative. Could be writing, could be speaking, television, any type of media, inventing. You understand that as well. And then the systems work, I mean, that's all, administrative all the way up through project managing, process is what we're talking about there. And then, of course, people work. So when I look at your results, you have the top talent of compassion, justice, and inspection. It's screaming people with a little bit of process. Do you see that?
Well, it's funny you say that because I read through the book and I took the advice of taking the top 6 items in each of those categories and charting them out in the graph. And I actually had a score of 10 under ideas and a score of 7 for people.
Okay, good. But you see, there's heavy people. Okay. And so then those what we call solid talents, okay, that's where you're scoring high on the ideas. Okay. But that's also where under passion I see making. That ideation in you is about ideating and making, okay, I would call solutions, right, that protect people. And that's where compassion and justice come in. The inspection piece is you're an examiner. You kind of look at what's wrong and you can tear something apart and go, this is what's wrong and this is what needs to be fixed. Is that resonating with you?
It is.
Yeah. But the kind of problems you are most interested in inspecting are people problems, are they not?
It is.
100%. So you see that? So I love that you went deeper into the book there. That's really, really good. But my point is I'm seeing, anytime I see the talents of compassion and justice, that's all people related. Okay. Yeah. So now we look at advocating. Again, that's people. Protecting, that's people. Now, making in this situation is on behalf of people. Make sense?
Yeah.
So I want to make a system, a process, a change, a principle, a program. I don't know. We'll get that answer in a minute. And then the mission result of achievement is this, and this is really key for you to understand. Whatever the work is that you figure out, you're a guy who needs to be doing work that is easily measured in the sense of a scoreboard. So in other words, I did work that helped 100,000 people. You see what I'm saying? It's really important to you that you see your work displayed on a scoreboard. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does.
You are motivated by scoreboard. I'm the same way. How many people did I reach this month? How much did this grow? I need to see the score. And you're the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that's understanding your motivation. So anything that you do, it needs to be something that is easily measured or kept score of. And so that's the piece that you need to understand. And that's really vital. Now, let's just go deeper in the exercise. If we were just going to have fun, and let's say that for 7 straight days, we got you helping people, and you were doing advocating, protecting, or making, and that's the idea of making something happen is how I'm using that literally. It doesn't have to be building with your hands, but it's like I'm gonna in some ways create something, and we were doing that kind of work. Who would be the people that you would start with day one, the people you most want to help? Describe those people.
I heard you ask this on another episode, and I've been kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, just tell me what you thought. I don't care how it sounds.
And look, the first person that comes to mind, it's a person. It's not really
Great.
people. Right?
Tell me.
It's my son.
And what's going on with your son? What's the problem that your son is dealing with?
He's 5 years old, so there's a lot going on with him. A whole lot of everything and a whole lot of nothing all at the same time,
Okay,
but it's less about where he is now, and it's more about, as a parent, how do I help him grow into
good.
Good.
So you're thinking of future self, but you're thinking of his future self, but you're also thinking of the problems that he will have to navigate and the challenges that just are going to come his way down the line as he grows. And you want him to navigate those challenges and win. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Great. All right. There's something there. So there's something there. So the exercise in the next few days for you is to continue to go, who are the people that I want to help, the problem I want to help them solve, and the solution to that. So if it's helping young people navigate life and become healthy, productive adults, now we start digging. Where can I do that? In other words, another question would be, how many different ways are there to help a young person navigate their life and win? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you could be a guidance counselor one day. You could be a sports coach, a teacher. You could be an advisor. You could be a child therapist. I mean, do you see how I'm starting to just throw out ideas? Now, not all of them are going to hit, but they're going to start to hit when they start to line up with compassion, justice, and inspection. Advocating.
Well, you did hit on something with the coaching example.
Talk to me.
You did. I used to be, unofficially a martial arts coach.
Great. Great.
I did that for 5 years. Worked with young kids all the way to
How much money
adults.
do you make right now?
Right now, less than $60K a year.
All right. I interrupted you on purpose. What if, we're just hypothetical, I want you to react to this. What if I promised you could make $75K being Mr. Miyagi for a bunch of young people in your community? Do you remember Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid?
Yeah, I sure do.
How would you react to that? Heck.
I'd be a little blown away and skeptical at first.
All right, what if I said I'll give you 60? What if I said I'll give you 60 grand and you're going to go in and you're going to teach Taekwondo every day? And you're going to teach life lessons while you're doing it.
Did you read a biography on me or something?
No, I'm just making this up. I'm making this up. I'm just literally, maybe the Holy Spirit's involved here. Maybe. I don't know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, does a coach have to be compassionate? Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Does a coach have to call out right and wrong? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
That's justice. Does a coach have to study a student, a player, and help them see what they're doing wrong and show them how to do it right? Yes or no?
100%.
Does a coach advocate for their players? Yes or no?
Yes.
Does
absolutely.
a coach protect their players? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Does a coach come up with drills and lessons to try to get through to a kid so they can learn? Yes or no?
100%.
Does a coach care about achievement? Yes or no?
Yes.
I think we've come up with something here, my friend. I think you should figure out who you're coaching and how you're coaching and all the places where you can coach them. And I think you're going to be a happy camper, Seth. Let's go. It's now research time. Appreciate you, brother. You're supposed to coach people. Go.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.